After watching the 50 Cent produced Diddy documentary, did it change how you viewed Suge's role at all? And people alleging that he was involved with Tupac's death?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you get away with stuff, and you, like when you hear the song on the I put $1 billion on your head. Real kid, like you know, like and don't nobody want to kill nobody, and really don't let nobody know.
I mean, it's all f***ed up. It was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel f***ed up about it.
This is a major development. According to 50 Cent, the FBI was not only watching Sean Diddy Combs for his current legal issues, but had been quietly investigating him for something much darker, with evidence repeatedly pointing back to the murders of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. In this video, we look at new revelations from people close to Diddy, including Kirk Burroughs and Gene Deal, as well as Tupac's own family members. His brother Mop and cousin Jamala, who were both deeply connected to the situation. Tupac and Biggie were once close friends who rose quickly and changed hip-hop forever, but they were killed at the height of their fame just 6 months apart. Now, people who were there at the time are speaking out, including Tupac's cousin, former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry, former LAPD detective Greg Kading, and even a former Crips member, all sharing parts of the same story. They claim Tupac's death was planned, and according to Kirk Burroughs, a co-founder of Bad Boy Entertainment, Diddy was responsible for the shooting that led to Tupac's death. 4 years, no one was charged and the case became an urban legend, inspiring documentaries and endless speculation, but it now appears the FBI may be closing in on answers. Things began to change in 2023 when Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was indicted in connection with Tupac's murder, and Greg Kading later stated that Keefe D. and Puffy Combs were the last key figures left. During recorded interviews with investigators, Keefe D. made shocking claims, saying that about a year before Tupac was killed, Diddy openly said in a room full of Crips that he wanted Tupac and Suge Knight dead and later offered $1 million for it to happen.
Keefe D. claims that there is this ongoing conversation. It happens on 3 different occasions, but most specifically when he and Puffy are at this place called Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. And they're there, things have spiraled out of control. Puffy's really concerned about, the welfare of his safety, and he tells Keefe D, man, I just need you to take care of this situation with Suge and Tupac. It's out of control. Tupac's on vinyl talking about kill kids when they grow up, and it's just become this really serious conflict. And he says, I just need you to take care of him. And Keefe D's like, that's no problem. That's what we do. And so an agreement was made, according to Keefe D, for an amount of money. And they kind of just let it go at that point in time. But of course, Keefe D knows in the back of his mind, this is what Puffy wants done. And they all end up out in Las Vegas. Suge's out there.
Before you say that, there's a couple things I want to talk about
Sure.
for Vegas. So when you say that Keefe got offered an amount of money, according to him, was there a dollar amount?
Yeah, so there was a dollar amount. But I think that, the nuances of this conversation are that, like, now I'll give you $1 million, whatever it takes. It's like exaggerated speech. But of course, when we interview Keefe D, he's like, yeah, that's what the agreement amount was, $1 million.
So according to Keefe, he's claiming that Puffy offered him $1 million to Suge or Tupac?
Both
or
of them.
both?
Yeah, both their names came up. And according to Keefe D, he says, Tupac's put himself on the list by all the shit that he is doing.
The tapes do not end there. Keefe D. also spoke about a gun that was hidden in a car linked to Eric Von Zip Martin, a man described as a powerful figure with close connections to Diddy. Tupac's brother added that both Von Zip and Diddy should have been investigated if Von Zip was the one who gave Keefe D the weapon.
Yeah, I can see how Pac felt like they had something to do with the setup, man. But speaking of Puffy, right, how do you feel about the rumor that Puffy, he gave a guy named Eric Von Zip a check for $1 million to give to Keefe D to kill Tupac?
I'm familiar with the story. I'm familiar with the dude. My man Big Psych, rest in peace, used to know that dude.
So you met Von Zip before. So how does that make you feel, man? Somebody that you met, and I'm sure that he knew that she was Tupac's brother. How does that make you feel knowing that he's the one that provided Keefe D with the gun to Tupac?
I mean, it's all f***ed up. It was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel f***ed up about it. I don't know that nigga, but I ain't got no love for none of them. You know, straight up. It sounds like a typical plot. See, but considering who that guy is to Puffy and to Keefy D, for it not to be addressed is weird. We will see.
Burroughs's journals suddenly become very important. Just days before Tupac was killed, he wrote that Diddy asked him to rent cars to drive from New York to Las Vegas for the fight. The request seemed strange because flying would have been much easier, but Burroughs followed the instructions and carefully documented everything, including dates, costs, and routes. Those handwritten notes are now shown in the documentary, and it appears the FBI may be using them as part of their investigation into Diddy.
Security, Gene Deal, who was there to secure Puff, all the other warnings that we got that we needed more security, the snafu in the business world came in like this. You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the awards show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never open. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there.
Just after midnight, Biggie left the party, and while stopped at a red light, a car pulled up next to him and shots were fired. Biggie was hit multiple times and later pronounced dead at just 24 years old. After his death, several strange things followed. Reports came out that Biggie had been planning to leave Bad Boy Records, and legal battles over his publishing rights began. Instead of Biggie being widely honored, Diddy appeared on the covers of major magazines, and just 2 months later he released I'll Be Missing You, which became a global hit. His debut album followed and went multi-platinum. Years later, Diddy even admitted that Biggie's death increased his fame, an admission that raised eyebrows. The pattern did not stop there, as over the years several people closely connected to Diddy reportedly became ill, were silenced, or died unexpectedly, with allegations, lawsuits, and stories appearing and then disappearing. Now, Gene Deal, a longtime Bad Boy insider and former head of security, says the upcoming Keef D trial could change everything, especially because of the defense strategy being used. According to Gene, Keef D's defense is simple. He claims that the reason Tupac was killed leads back to Puff.
There's no physical evidence that Keefy D or has something to do with Pac's death. There's circumstantial evidence. There's people that could probably testify on what somebody told them or heard. So now, Keefy D, lawyers and them did a great job when they did trial by judge. Because the judge is looking for physical evidence. What ties Keefy D to Puff? What ties Keefy D to the Tupac? And how could they prove that either one of them has something to do with it? Somebody would have to get on the stand and say that I saw him, he told me, and they won't have to believe them. So, do they believe Keefe D? If he told a lot of different stories, you gotta realize he may have told more than one or two stories, because he tell that story now. What about the stories he told prior to this? You understand what I'm saying? So you're gonna look at that. You're gonna look at, okay, did he get the money? Where's the money at? Who got the money? Who wrote the check? Who paid the money? Where did it come from? When did it come from?
Gene points out that there is no physical evidence showing Keefe D at the scene pulling the trigger. What does exist are statements, second-hand stories, and claims about conversations that allegedly happened. That is why Keefe D's lawyers pushed for a trial decided by a judge instead of a jury, since a judge focuses on solid proof rather than emotional testimony. This raises some unavoidable questions, especially about what directly connects Keefe D to Tupac's murder. And one key point is that Keefe D himself has admitted involvement in Tupac's death.
Keefe D's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing, one of the death row entourage, a guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntree, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas murder files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night.
Yeah, and he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a murder for hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said just Zip.
So the FBI told you the same
he was
thing?
a dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well?
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You're the last one to know everything. Even lawyers, your friends, everybody can cross your ass.
Gene says the case only truly comes together if someone takes the stand and clearly says, "I heard this conversation, I saw this exchange, and I know where the money came from." Even then, it would not be simple. Keefe D has told different versions of his story over the years, and when details change, every past statement is questioned again. Prosecutors would have to explain why this version should be believed over the others. Gene explains that if investigators can prove money moved from Diddy through intermediaries and ended up connected to Keefe D, and if the people involved confirm that chain, then everything changes. For a long time, Gene has also claimed that Diddy and Tupac were not on good terms, a point that Tupac's cousin, Jamal Hussein, has recently backed up.
So I run into Suge. Pac had the fight with Orlando Anderson. He come upstairs to the hotel room. First of all, when we get to Vegas, right, he flipped on me. He like, yo, move. Cause I'm thinking when we get to Vegas, we're gonna turn up, it's gonna be all lit. But once we get there, he turned on me. Like, nah, Moo, I don't want you coming out. You and Kadada stay in the hotel and so forth. So I'm feeling the way. I'm like, oh, shit, ain't this, like, how you gonna bring us out here? Now we gotta stay in our rooms. So I'm rebellious, right? So I'm being rebellious, right? So Shook Pop comes in the room. He's talking about how he just knocked out some dude. I don't know who the dude is. I didn't know later that this is Orlando Anderson, the head of the Crip and all this crap. You know what I mean? So when Pop come in the room talking about it, I'm like, oh, word, say word, Pop. So he changed. That's when he changed from the orange button-up shirt that he had on, and he put on the green, like, basketball jersey type of shirt, right? So at this point, he's looking for the outlaws. He don't know where they at. And he's telling me and Kadada to chill in the room. That, everybody is there outside, they wildin'. It's Robert Wayne time. And again, showing his protection for us, he recommend that we stay in the room. But I came out the room anyway and ran into Suge. And when I ran into Suge in the elevator, he in there with his girl, right? So I'm like, yo, Suge, I know you heard how Pop knocked out homie. And before I could say homie, Suge gave me the silent, he put the finger on his lips to silent me. So that already gave me like, oh, let me tone it down a notch.
As the pieces continue to fall into place, one thing is clear. This story is far from over. Long hidden details are coming to light, and the truth may finally be closer than ever. What happens next could change how we understand hip-hop history forever. Stay locked in, keep watching, and don't look away now. If you want the latest updates as this unfolds, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe.